You didn't heal the sick, you counted the dying. In the alleys of Constantinople, during the Plague of Justinian, a field doctor's job was filth, fear, and failure. You stuffed herbs in your robes to mask the stench of rotting flesh. Boils burst under your fingers. Patients screamed or slipped into silence. There were no cures, only prayers, poultices, and despair. The bodies piled faster than you could drag them. Every cough around you felt like a death sentence. You weren't a hero, just another doomed soul trying to hold the line against something no scalpel could stop. And it never stopped. Step into the shrouded corridors of history, where the looming spectre of a relentless plague blots out the sun. A world unraveling at the seams, as whispers of catastrophe ripple through towns and cities, urging those who dare to listen into a state of desperation. Villages become mere echoes, their once vibrant marketplaces now silent save for the coughs that signal yet another succumbed soul. As tales of household after household silenced overnight spread like wildfire, the air itself seems poisoned, heavy with dread. Into this scene of chaos strides the field doctor, armed not with the certainties of modern science, but with a meagre arsenal steeped in age-old traditions and fervent prayer. Arriving at a village, the hallmarks of pestilence are undeniable. Shuttered homes, deserted streets, a suffocating stench of decay. Amidst this turmoil, cries for assistance resonate more sharply, each a summons to bear witness to untold suffering. The physician stands as both healer and witness to the inexorable tide of mortality that sweeps through. The journey itself is a grueling marathon, urgency running a bitter race against the creeping onset of exhaustion. Each mile brings a heavying burden, the clock forever ticking away precious moments. Once lively towns stand silent, the spectre of infection tainting every interaction. Faces that once meant friendship and warmth now harbour potential peril. In the grip of this relentless foe, you grasp that you fight not only disease but a pervasive, debilitating hopelessness. Your remedies offer only brief respite, shadows of relief in a land swiftly losing its faith. As the plague's tyranny stretches onward, the fabric of society begins to fray. Where community once prospered, now isolation reigns, fear driving wedges between bonds once thought unbreakable. Familiar joys grow distant, overtaken by deep, pervasive mourning. Silence becomes a prominent companion, each creak of wood or muted call deepening the ever-present anxiety. Yet, resilient spirits persevere, as those you encounter display an unyielding will to survive. You bear the brunt of their silent pleas, the weight of your own limitations compounding with every case. Treatments rendered become wages where the odds rarely favour recovery, and you float adrift on a sea of unpredictable outcomes. Here, life's tenuousness sculpts an unyielding testament to both the strength and fragility of the human heart. Insidious rumours slither through the empire, echoes of an affliction that navigates roads and country with impunity. The disease transcends borders and defences, whispering through gaps in once reassuring lines of seclusion. It becomes all too clear that escape is an illusion. As villagers retreat behind bolted doors, thinking distance their saviour, the illness finds its way in, shattering peace with vile insistence. Amidst these relentless challenges, a darker wisdom dawns. Empirical knowledge is scant. Whispers and anecdotal insights serve as your compass. Every treatment becomes a gamble, desperation driving inventions born of lore and long-held stories. The line between science and superstition blurs as you grasp at any spark of hope. aware with each failed attempt of your own powerlessness. And yet, there is a grim enlightenment in accepting these limits, pushing you toward deeper mysteries without clear answers. Each new village presents a unique tableau of despair. Streets quiet, spaces once alive with activity, now mourn the absence of those taken by the disease. Homes transform, turning into ad hoc infirmaries as communities endure monumental sorrow. The once familiar cadence of daily life fades, replaced by survival in its rawest form. Here, you traverse between tragedy and faint glimmers of resilience, attempting to reconcile the messengers of belief and skepticism with a message of healing. In this epic of endurance, your tools are fledgling at best. Simple cloths, time-honoured concoctions, and fervent pleas whispered into the ether. You navigate skepticism and entrenched tradition, providing momentary solace to some while provoking fear in others. Here, identity mingles with the unknown. You serve as both beacon and omen. Every encounter becomes a negotiation with fate, each tiny victory monumental in its fleeting glow. Faith plays its profound role, encouraging both solace and division among the affected. In these darkest times, reliance on the divine becomes an intricate dance you must navigate cautiously. The sanctuaries of faith offer refuge dual in purpose, tending to both spirit and flesh. Your medicine, part science, part offering, merges with folklore, all seeking solace amid uncertainty. In the heart of these communities, you discover a resolute core, not just treating bodies but nurturing spirits, and opening yourself to mysteries untold in the quest for solace and understanding. The journey to each afflicted village feels like a slow march into the heart of despair. Your horse stirs the dust along desolate roads, leading you to places where hope flickers dimly in the eyes of the desperate. They imagine you as a beacon of salvation, an heir to arcane knowledge or divine intervention. Yet you know the stark truth of what your saddlebag holds. Nothing more than vinegar-soaked cloths and a dull scalpel. The absence of potions or remedies underscores the cruel irony of your role. You arrive to heal, yet you fight a battle with no tangible weapons against this invisible adversary. The heavy air, redolent of decay, tells stories of mortality, serving as a grim counterpoint to the faith thrust upon your weary shoulders. Stripped of any real cures, what you can offer is companionship stitched in moments of care. You know deep inside that you are not on equal footing with this plague that indiscriminately claims both royalty and peasant. Each whispered prayer upon entering a home is one of resilience, for your patients and for yourself. You become a weaver of hope, casting narratives of survival with threads barely holding together in a tattered world. It's more than a prayer, it's a ritual of connection, a balm for the soul that affirms the lives of the dying, ensuring they are not mere shadows but humans touched by your compassion. Among your sparse arsenal, every item magnifies in importance. Vinegar, pungent and sharp, serves as your crude antiseptic, just a notch above holy water in warding off this wrath purportedly sent from the heavens. The rusty scalpel, far from precision, is nonetheless crucial in confronting this microbial menace. Your tools symbolize a fierce desire to pull some semblance of order from chaos, standing in as proxies for a knowledge you do not possess. They remind you of the gap between the known and what you desperately wish to understand. Balancing on a tightrope between healer and helpless spectator, you improvise continually. When science fails, drowned by the tides of ignorance, morale becomes the makeshift refuge. Your kit includes arnica and dried sage, more for soothing tempers than disease. Yet they serve as a reminder of where science ends and tradition begins. Here you hold the line, cusp between medieval superstition and a yearning for modern sensibility. In a time when every whispered remedy becomes gospel, your practices teem with holy charms, amulets favoured by saints and crosses that offer grounding against spiralling fears. Not precious in material, but imbued with immeasurable worth during crises. These sacramental tokens pass through hands, exchanging borrowed belief for solace. Your whispered prayers layered with tangible needs become like a silent code between you and those you save. Each placebo, not cruelly vacant, but a shared humanity, reflects back at you in shared wards, echoing faith amidst the certainty of despair. In quiet moments following a patient's final breath, you face the resounding absence of a cure, echoing louder than any grieving family. The silence invades, unyielding, filling the void left by the cries of the living. The reality ticks away like a metronome, marking the end of the dance with this relentless disease. The steel skies above, laden with the promise of rain, mirror the quiet storm within you, balancing hope lightly and offering witness to each unending trial. Vacant stares alight upon your empty hands, chipping away at your resolve. No tinctures or potions pour over tongues to reverse the march towards death. Every scholarly treatise and scripture seems to mock your lack of answers, a chasm growing between ancient wisdom and your present fight. As you gather your cloths, muttering prayers or incantations, you walk a line between faith in the unseen and the daily grind of caregiving. If hope is all you can offer, its currency may be cheaper than breath itself. The work of a field doctor transcends medicine, becoming a confrontation with the unknown, an enemy whose nature transcends earthly comprehension. Each day greets you with mortality, clinging to cloak and conscience, demanding your presence in a shadowy arena. As fearful eyes watch you enter, expectant for salvation, you find yourself amidst a drama of unending mystery and chaos, where no curtain drops and solutions feel perpetually just out of reach. Yet, with each step into another doorway, you carry whispered remnants of hope. Nature itself becomes an enigmatic partner, a sky unadorned by vagrant stars, as each comet seems to weave new questions. Instinct becomes a compass where knowledge falters, listening to the silent narratives in every cough and fever. You realise in facing this mystery, witness is as valuable as knowledge. Your dance between faith and reason becomes a story in itself, drawing maps of survival on the worn pages of history, embracing a world where belief and logic must coexist. The swollen buboes on patients bear witness to the plague's ferocity, throbbing ominously in groins, necks, or armpits. These bulging marks of suffering, pulses of infection, have become a familiar sight. As a field doctor, you stand in their shadow, tools ready to slice and hopefully heal. If only for a brief moment, your dirt-grimed hands, shaped by every element, instinctively prepare for the grim task that habit has etched into your very bones. Yet each time the red, inflamed skin yields dramatically to infection's cruel handiwork, your senses are momentarily overwhelmed by the sinister dance of the plague. In this medieval world, superstition and medicine intertwine seamlessly. To the wary villagers, these buboes are ominous signs of divine wrath or wicked spirits, curses in palpable form. Heroically, you stand before the pestilence, lancing these swollen nodes as if battling a physical representation of some dark force. With each release of pus, hope flickers like a frail candle amidst a storm, promising a return to health for a fortunate few. Yet these moments are bittersweet triumphs against a relentless backdrop of suffering. Your tools are primitive, far removed from the gleaming instruments of today's surgeons. A rudimentary scalpel serves as both a weapon and saviour, heated by fire to clean, but never truly sterile. Professionally, each incision you make is less about the precision of the modern surgeon and more a hastily improvised grasp at salvation. Your fingers, long since numb and steady from constant toil and unending cold, move with practiced precision dictated by necessity rather than finesse. Vinegar-soaked rags and unproven herbal poultices add symbolic protection. Whispered enchantments of sorts, echoing the effort to cleanse, to stave off decay's rancid stench, and to reassure yourself in your mission to save. This task is an all-encompassing sensory ordeal. Skin resists your blade, yielding an eruption of infected liquid, tainting your hands, mixing with the fresh cloth tied at your wrist. The stench, overpowering, vile, permeates, a foul signature lingering in your memory long after the physical evidence is gone. Every cut plays its part in this ghastly symphony, a wet hiss blending with cries of torment or restrained whimpers from patients enduring your care. It is a stark reminder of the body's delicate resilience, demanding a partitioning of your senses to continue amidst scenes that would shatter lesser psyches. These stimuli embed themselves in you, lodging within the fibres of your clothes and the sinews of your soul. Humbling reminders of the limits medicine and humanity continually face. Eyes of despair continue to haunt you, each gaze heavy with stories of anguish and a search for salvation. The very presence of these beseeching faces transforms tragedy into a personal narrative defined by fear, pain, and a desperate quest for mercy. An intimacy arises in these shared moments with patients, a fleeting bond of suffering and hope against the shadows of oblivion. Each lance, thought forbidden by some, is a desperate promise of relief to those you treat, a muted litany of misery or silent defiance. In this relentless march of lances and praying, any victory is minor in the shadow of countless losses. The oppressive knowledge that many will not survive shadows every attempt, reminding you of the vast chasm between hope and reality. Despite your best efforts, most patients succumb. They're passing a litany of failure and mortality's overwhelming weight. The joy of seeing a patient walk away is overwhelmed by the multitude of others who will not. For you, each unsuccessful procedure questions the effectiveness of your method against the cruel, chaotic rhythms of life. The psychological burden of this role surpasses its physical demands. Every life lost tests your will, each mournful face a reminder of humanity's selfish grip on life. Days and nights blur seamlessly into an endless cycle of exhaustion and resilience, demanding all remnants of vigour for the cause. As the plague's grim visage looms daily, it leaves you a cynical priest standing at the altar of mortality, your vocation both calling and penance against unseen forces. Yet the plague unwittingly educates the soul and body tasked against it. Frank truths are revealed, each slice an educative incision into survival's fragile territory, born of urgency and despair. Through each lost patient and lamented funeral, the plague's lessons unfurl harsh, resilient, demanding moderation, even as they temper resolve's youthful excess. The preservation of life, precious and perilous, continues as a solemn journey amidst nature's indifferent chaos. Villagers lurch between seeing you as either saviour or spectre. Revered as emissary of divine intervention, some offer praise with hope hidden beneath each incision. Others, clouded by suspicion, view your efforts as unwelcome tinkering with volatile fates. This dichotomy of beliefs reflects a fractured existence, amplified in a world torn apart by mystery and fear, casting you as both revered healer and feared harbinger of death. In every cut lies a silent moral reflection, the struggle of intent versus consequence. Your soul questions itself. Does the nobility of saving lives redeem the risk of hastening death? Traditions of skepticism and faith mingle at each incision's edge, driving your purpose amid shrouded voices offering eternal judgment. In Twilight Truths, you wrestle silently with a physician's dilemma, reinforced by each battle edged with mortality's inescapable gravity. In this grim tableau, seeking meaning among chaos serves not just survival, but an intrinsic quest for purpose against the void. Every patient cured, the smile of a healed child, the fleeting victories, act as resilient strands amidst surrounding desolation, offering proof that, against overwhelming odds, life intersperses flame with shadow, vibrant threads in a darkened world. Through it all, amidst decayed monuments and flickering hopes, you walk life's tapestries, crafting scar-lined legacies of a plague doctor's journey, etched into posterity's immortal stone. In the shadows of towering stone walls, where chants once echoed softly through quiet halls, what was once serene tranquility has become a cacophony of human anguish. Monasteries, those bastions of contemplation, have transformed into crowded sanctuaries for the plague-ridden, their air heavy with the relentless cries of the suffering. You, the harried field doctor, find no respite in these hallowed grounds, now a battleground where holiness and despair vie for dominance. In these halls, once echoed by the sacred whispers of monks, sanctity is now drowned by the agonizing pleas and moans of those clinging to life. The sacred grounds are now overrun with those desperate for salvation, the frescoes of saints and angels above offering cold comfort to those below, wreathed in the throes of pain. Amidst this chaos, monks who once moved with serene purpose through corridors now rush to aid you, their robes stained with the grim marks of emergency medicine rather than devotion. These sacred refugees are ill-prepared for the tide of illness sweeping over them, a stark reminder of how frail human structures can be in the face of nature's ravages. Every corner tells a tale of suffering. A mother prays over her child's feverish form. A monk whispers last rites over a laboured breath. Here in this crucible of despair, your faith falters, tested as much by the relentless need as by the haunting silence each lost battle leaves behind. The desperation around you is palpable. Parents clutch their sick children, their eyes bright with hope flickering on the edge of dying. In those gazes lies a desperation that needs no words, a mix of profound hope and raw fear. They place their belief in your hands despite the scarcity of your tools and the limits of your skill. Every day you face this expectation, knowing each failure adds weight to your already burdened spirit. Among beds lined end to end, promises of recovery ring hollow against the harsh reality of your crude remedies. With each child you cannot save, their parents' despair becomes a tangible presence, seeping into your very bones. The duality of your existence in this plague-stricken world holds a harsh irony. Celebrated for minor victories, blamed for inevitable losses, you walk a thin line between being a beacon of hope and the focus of blame. In these dire times, a healer might become a target, in one moment thanked with tearful relief, and in the next, accused when the plague's cruel hand takes yet another life. The raw emotions of guilt and blame hang heavy in the air, not unlike the pervasive stench of decay that defines these dreadful days. The air itself is an antagonist, thick with the unrelenting odour of death and desperation. It clings to you, invading your senses and embedding in your memory. The smell of lingering decay is inescapable, a grotesque reminder of the lives slipping away with every insidious breath taken. Yet amid this affliction, you carry on, mastering the stench as one would the rhythm of an unenviable yet necessary task. Because within these suffocating scents is the inescapable fact of life, which persists in the face of overwhelming decay. Navigating the crowded, narrow passages filled with makeshift beds demands an unwavering will to order out of chaos. Everywhere need presses down upon you, each room a scene of people battling for survival, amidst an unrelenting onslaught. Manoeuvring in this chaotic space, with its sounds and smells, you find strength in a practiced efficiency, guiding your actions with a mental checklist forged from necessity. There's scant room even for personal despair. Here your presence is the last bastion against disorder and devastation. The haunted eyes of those suffering are etched in your memory. A father holding his child close, a woman searching for dignity among the dust and disease. Suffering becomes your close companion, ever present. An indifferent artist painting scenes of quiet surrender and hopeless fight. As a silent witness to this agony, the memory of every face, every hand, every parting breath becomes your burden to carry long, after the halls have faded into silence. Even when the screams dim and only the quiet of exhaustion remains, echoes of the plague ripple through your mind. The walls themselves seem to hum a requiem in the stillness, each sound a haunting reminder of battles fought and lost. This ghostly chorus accompanies you into whatever rest you can find, a never-ending requiem of torment and survival entwined. Through this constant symphony of loss and fleeting triumphs, your understanding deepens, though the cost is weighed in souls marked by your presence. Ultimately, you must learn the delicate art of letting go, to recognize that your power to heal has limits, to stand firm in your decisions even as your heart breaks 1,000 times over. The hardest lesson is not in knowing how to fight disease, but in knowing when the only kindness left is to help those who suffer to find peace. And though this realization comes with a weight of profound sorrow, it also brings a release, enabling you to continue, fortified by the shared pain and fleeting embers of life cherished. Amidst the turmoil, however, lies an indomitable spirit, a testament to hope's resilience. Where children smile through the pain and mothers care with a fervent dedication amid ruins, there you find the strength to endure. The human spirit, even brought low, remains unbroken, offering fragments of unity in adversity's face. And as humanity gathers its weary fragments, binding stories of survival and comradeship, you find that in the darkest moments, the light of hope truly does endure. Farchod, Chapter 5. The dead aren't buried, just burned. In the ancient city, the narrow streets, usually bustling with life, now lay choked with death. Carts overloaded with corpses creaked through the cobblestones, the horses pulling them as weary as the drivers. The sweet, sick stench of decay was inescapable, clinging to the air more persistently than life itself. As a field doctor, you wove through these sombre lanes, each blocked passage a grim reminder of the plague's veracity. Every detour felt like navigating through a labyrinth of sorrow, a morbid testament to human fragility, and the city's transformation into a graveyard above ground. At every turn, the streets presented heartbreaking scenes. Wailing families clung to their dignity as their loved ones were unceremoniously taken. The relentless pace of death afforded no time for traditional mourning. It was a mad dash to clear passageways and stave off further disease. The cultural fabric that once honoured the dead with reverence unravelled in the face of sheer necessity. People grew numb to the sight of death moving through their lives like the inevitable setting sun, just another fixed point in the daily rotation of despair. Burial grounds once reserved for the eternal rest found themselves overflowing. Sacred traditions of interment, passed down through countless years, became unattainable luxuries. Cemeteries turned into chaotic wastelands as the plague tightened its grip, forcing a seismic shift. Burial gave way to burning. Field doctors, accustomed to preserving life, assumed the role of custodians of the dead, overseeing mass pyres where dignity succumbed to necessity. From these burning fields, thick black smoke spiralled into the sky, veiling the sun. Entire families gathered around, some in silence while others stood paralysed by grief. Flames eagerly licked away the flesh, releasing souls in a final, desperate effort for peace. Yet without customary rites, the act of immolation condemned many to an uncertain fate, lost without proper passage to the afterlife. It became a haunting symbolic act, balancing the necessities of survival against the weight of spiritual unease. Fire became an inadvertent ally in this grim landscape, a weapon against the unseen plague bacillus. As a field doctor, you wielded it not only to reduce bodies to ashes, but to cleanse the city itself. Each pyre was a battleground in the war against the dying of the light, where embers danced in a dreadful ballet under a darkened sky. Yet, for all the fire's hopes of purification, a cruel irony lingered. What consumed disease could also erase identities, turning beloved memories to indistinct ash. You grappled with this dissonance, drawn between the fire's harsh reality and the silent promise that new life would arise from these ashes. The sensory assault of a pyre was an experience that lingered in memory. Flames reached skyward in a macabre dance, the evening air growing warm against your skin. You stood amidst this sea of bodies, every snap and pop of burning joinery, suggesting the visceral haunting of lost life. Despite the chaos, there was music in it. The rustle of garments eroding to dust, a gentle breeze feigning indifference among the lamentations. Your senses strained to capture fragments of understanding, weaving together a symphony of sights and sounds, a reflection upon mortal existence. The sight of twitching bodies upon the flames tormented onlookers and stirred ancient superstitions. Mind raced with thoughts of reanimation as residual nerve impulses caused muscles to contract and dance grotesquely. These movements defied the solemnity expected in death, challenging the rational mind to keep faith in physiological truths despite the haunting nature of the pyre's surreal ballet. Superstition thrived in this atmosphere of relentless death. Stories of angry gods and spirits circulated like currency, offering an illusion of control. Field doctors unwittingly became part of these narratives, seen as shamans navigating the divine alongside their earthly duties. With each pyre, you carefully tread the line between medicine and the mystical, aware of your role as both healer and storyteller, walking the delicate balance between scientific truth and spiritual comfort. As flames consumed the corpses, they also engulfed the memories and stories housed within. Bodies were vessels for the narratives of lives once lived, briefly flickering into view before vanishing into the ether. Each conflagration was a glimpse of connection, a whispered echo of histories left untold. In these moments, you became not just a guide for the dead, but a custodian of their stories, resonating with the shared humanity of lives once vibrant. Funeral workers, driven by duty, fashion themselves into sombre stewards of death. Clad in simple garments, they bore the weight of their work with silent endurance, tending the flames with a methodical grace. Their lives became intertwined with those they consigned to ash, carrying the burden of lost souls. In their efficiency lay an unspoken reverence, a silent testament to the weighty toll that accompanied each act of finality. After the embers cooled, standing in the whispering ashes, you reflected upon the lives now extinguished. The ground became hallowed by the echoes of those passing stories, a scattered quilt of memories that spoke to the resilience of life amid the ashes of despair. In those flickering moments, one found the spark of renewal, where destruction proved to be the fertile bed for new beginnings. Emerging survivors, stepping forth from the shadow of fire, knew the phoenix rises only from the ashes, a symbol of hope in a world ripe for rebirth. Arriving in a new hamlet or city quarter is an event that alters the day, almost as if an ancient prophecy is unfolding before their eyes. As you step into view, daily life pauses, a collective breath held as eyes cast forward. In awe and fear, the anticipation thickens with every hoofbeat until you dismount, aware that you are a figure of hope and dread in equal measure. People approach with reverence, whispering their yearning for miracles, while others keep their distance, eyes filled with suspicion. The line between life and death is all too thin here, and as a field doctor, you carry the burden of both. Your arrival's greeted by a peculiar dichotomy. Close to you, the trusting ones gather, bowing their heads, desperate for salvation. They exchange hushed prayers, though you are aware of your mortal limits. Yet, hovering in the periphery are those who see your presence as more threat than blessing. Skeptical glances, whispers of doom preceding or trailing you, transform your entry into a charged atmosphere. Every gesture is observed keenly, as if your mere proximity could sway fortune. In this space where superstition marries dread, you must tread carefully to preserve your mission, aware that each word or step could ignite desperate anger. In this world, your depiction swings wildly between healer and omen. Stories of near-miraculous recoveries spread, tales twisted and magnified by longing or raw faith. Success becomes a hallowed currency amid despair, drawing offerings, eggs, bread, coins from those clutching at hope. Such reverence bestows a potent allure, both invigorating and perilous. Expectations swell, making each failure an intimate betrayal. As the healer, a single life saved ignites celebration, but a lost one breeds suspicion and mutates admiration into accusations of deceit or malevolence. As maladies resist your endeavours, fears spiral into allegations. You become a living contradiction, embodying both potential cures and curses in the eyes of people seeking someone to blame. Whispers of dark bargains surface, as the weight of unmet hope transforms once fervent believers into fervent critics. Some perceive your visits as omens. Talks of enchantments and spells echo among the anxious, their fears blanketing logical thought. In their eyes, your inability to conquer the unconquerable links guilt to your weary frame, leaving you bound by the chains of unmet dreams. Your appearances inspire myths that blur fact and fiction, forging a legend beyond your recognizable self. To many, your abilities seem otherworldly, steeped in mystical traditions obscured from ordinary understanding. Stories about your arrival, the call of the owl, or unsettling wind spread swiftly, cementing your mythos in local lore. As these tales envelop you, they paint you as larger than life, an embodiment of both aspirations and anxieties. You become an icon, standing at a distance far from reality, veiled under tales not of your making. However, with myth comes burden, as demands for proof of these supernatural skills overshadow your human limits. Where tales of your prowess foster hope, they also foster scrutiny. When imaginations transform expectation into an insurmountable peak, they trap you within a cage of impossible standards. Eyes fixed upon you, lit with belief or fear, anticipate confirmation of their constructed legends. On this lonesome pedestal, the weight of anticipation threatens even the sturdier spirits. This tumultuous tide swings between reverence and resentment, framing belief as an oscillating spectrum. As you navigate this, faith-driven rituals emerge, masses and private prayers seeking divine intercession through your hands. Sermons cast you as a vessel of divine purpose, fortifying communal spirit in facing the plague's terror. Yet juxtaposed is a tempest of fury, born of losses tied to an invisible enemy. Struggling to reconcile faith with untold sorrow, people turn to conspiracy, seeking scapegoats in shadowy corners. Accusations sting harder than any wound. To face the ire of those you strive to help is a searing cut, unhealed by salves. This amalgam of trust and trepidation moulds an arduous path few can tread, where faith and fury intertwine, testing resolve in each weary step. Symbols wield immense power in such times. Your badge, once a token of healing and honour, now draws both devotees and detractors. Once cherished emblems morph into beacons of misunderstanding, perceived with suspicion or supernatural vigour. Safety becomes elusive amidst this confusion, as relics obscure your true purpose. In response, shedding visible ties through disguise becomes your shield, offering critical anonymity. Though protective, this invisibility distorts identity, stripping earned respect. Thus, you remain both everyone and no one, an enigmatic healer cloaked in doubt and hope. Freedom paired with a fresh cost, and suffering persisting heedless of whom blame finds. Your attire becomes another shield, defences against elements and infection, and the perilous public gaze. Cloaks and masks evolve into iconic uniforms, towering beak masks filled with herbs, signifying both salvation and suspicion. Meant for protection, these garments gain new dimensions, symbols of aid for some, channels to darker forces for others. Public perception dances between relief and unrest, converting each presence from hero to intruder at a moment's notice, tracing the line between guardian and menace, shrouded within mask and fabric. Your figure merging into an ominous emblem of collective fear or defiance, resonating deeply within each community's emotional tide. As the days drag on, the boundary between healer and patient begins to blur. You witness your colleagues, esteemed for their expertise and compassion, fall one by one to the very plague they dedicated their lives to battling. These are not just professional acquaintances, they are friends, mentors, and comrades in arms against a rampant adversary. Their loss casts a heavy shadow on your resolve, each fallen healer a grim reminder of your own mortality. When you notice the familiar face of a fellow doctor showing signs of fever and fatigue, your heart sinks. There's a shared, unspoken understanding that the odds are against him. Attempts to help feel futile, almost mockingly desperate. As he takes his final breath amidst the cacophony of suffering. Grief weaves itself into your daily routine, becoming as familiar as the stifling odour of infection that clings to your clothes. With every peer that succumbs, another piece of your resolve erodes, but there is no time for mourning. The living demand your attention, and each morning you rise to face the disheartening reality that fewer healers stand beside you. Nightfall finds you collapsing into a bed of exhaustion, steeling yourself for another identical day. With fewer hands to assist, the hours lengthen and wounds are patched hastily. Nevertheless, you grit your teeth and persist, because this relentless cycle is all you've ever known. You've become a cog in the machinery of an unfeeling existence, and the fear of breaking keeps you moving forward mechanically. Amidst this world of decay, an unspoken solidarity forms with the dying, kindled by shared suffering and fleeting hope of salvation. You sit beside colleagues turned patients, sharing brief, silent exchanges heavy with meaning. A touch, a glance, a nod. They comprehend the scythe of the plague better than most, yet both know that many will not see another sunrise. Each encounter with mortality strips another layer of emotion until all that remains is a husk of functionality. Grief morphs into a constant presence, a shadow accompanying you as you administer tinctures and perform surgeries. Yet, beneath the despair, a quiet kinship with your fate grows. Death becomes not an enemy, but an inevitable companion. Each procedural step transforms into a ritual of respect, a tribute to those who have walked the path before, a silent promise to honour your own end when the time comes. In quieter moments, when the fevered chaos momentarily subsides, your hands betray you, trembling with fatigue and the burden of what they have borne witness to. These hands must continue to thread needles, sewing wounds with a stubborn defiance against despair. Every stitch sewn becomes a battle against the trembling, a testament to your determination. You find minor victories in each wound closed, each life clinging tenuously to survival's edge. In the rhythmic motion of your hands, chaos finds a fleeting order, and hope hesitantly rekindles, a whisper against the backdrop of darkness. Now, with the number of healers dwindling, improvisation becomes your lifeline. You make do with whatever is at hand, turning humble tools and rudimentary knowledge into makeshift solutions. Lamenting the inadequate supply of medicinal herbs or skilled hands is a luxury you cannot afford. Instead, you adapt, pressing whatever remains into service. A wine-soaked rag becomes a multi-purpose tool, cleansing, numbing, drying. And a worn scalpel suffices for all procedures. These small acts of ingenuity remind you that even in withered hands, life perseveres. Your role shifts amidst these challenges. You become part philosopher, part inventor, crafting solutions anew daily. The medical world bends to accommodate these substitutions, etching resourcefulness into survival's fabric. Such practices, born of necessity, pave unforeseen paths forward. As a healer, you harness both ancient and emergent wisdom, hoping to press life from suffering. Responsibilities extend beyond the village, an undefined horizon demanding as the plague itself. Boundaries between night and day blur under ceaseless demands. The cries for help echo through the silence, transforming into the haunting soundtrack of your journey. Caught in this relentless cycle, you fleetingly question the cost of your oath. Yet, within this gravity lies solace. Each life touched pays silent homage to that vow. You replenish not through rest, but resolve. And each step forward is a testament to enduring humanity. As the plague advances, the cracks in your medical understanding shift under its weight. Armed with the wisdom of antiquity and practical knowledge, every encounter reveals the chasm between textbook knowledge and grim reality. Desperation forces you to critically examine accepted truths, sparking a silent revolution. Out of necessity, you meld tried methodologies with novel approaches, forever redefining the frontier of healing. Meanwhile, another insidious enemy takes root: mental fatigue. The relentlessness of death seeps into your consciousness, subtly devastating your psyche. Early strategies falter as thoughts are haunted by failure. The once relied upon tools, clarity, intuition, compassion, are dulled, trapped in exhaustion's fog. And yet in the depths of despair, bonds born of necessity and resilience emerge. Healers band together, shared experiences turning strangers into stalwart allies. Under the weight of it all, these connections offer strength in numbers, forming an unbroken chain of community against darkness. Every dawn brings uncertainty, yet the drive to persevere stands unyielding. Where solace proves elusive, perseverance itself becomes a beacon. Each action, no matter how seemingly small, assures that life's mosaic continues to unfold, fostering hope amid adversity. Though the path remains shrouded in shadow, your vow anchors you, a testament to human spirit against an indifferent world. Sleep, an elusive luxury during the Plague of Justinian, becomes a battlefield of restless dreams and fevered whispers. Each creak of the wooden hospice and every sigh of the tent canvas takes on a life of its own in the deep silence of night. You awake suddenly, disturbed by phantom voices murmuring your name, seeking the mercy that eluded them in life. These nightly visitations, like stubborn echoes of unresolved debts or despair, claw at your weary mind. Rational explanations offer little solace as the eerie familiarity gnaws at the fraying edges of sanity. The boundary between reality and illusion grows dangerously thin. Now, the hauntings are not just eerie noise, but a vivid replay of those last moments spent holding trembling hands, whispering assurances you later struggle to believe. They are reminders of superstitions that speak of spirits lingering among the living, unable to find peace. The voices serve as both a dire account of failures unanswered and, perversely, a form of company amidst enforced isolation. In your beleaguered state, they fill the void otherwise broken only by the scurry of rats and muffled cries of the afflicted. Tiredness consumes your body and mind, blurring the lines of sanity. By dim candlelight, you sometimes see apparitions flitting at the edge of your vision, ghostly figures slipping away just as your eyes focus. These spectres are sharpest when your exhaustion peaks, drawing strange comfort as if their presence echoes the crowded infirmaries where you toiled among the dying. Yet, their messages remain indecipherable, an indecipherable language without words that leaves an unsettling mark. The beliefs of your time suggest these are genuine glimpses of souls bound to earth, but doubt lingers. Are you chasing shadows of your guilt, or do these echoes beg to be remembered by the living? Amid corridors filled with the dying, disembodied murmurs tempt you to recall not just those lost to the plague, but whispers of your past selves, memories of an idealistic healer, eager to mend what was broken, flood back, now tinged with futility. These shadows form a chorus of encouragement, despair, and everything in between, feeding a sense of isolation in a landscape dominated by morbid echoes. This auditory chaos might be an internal reckoning, each voice demanding accountability for promises unravelled and hopes forsaken against this relentless calamity. It is a grueling battle to preserve a sliver of optimism amid shattered dreams and dying breaths. Yet, these voices, drawn from their silent graves, unveil deeper truths of self, daring you to hold firm to resolve, even as nightmares press against hope. Even as you tend to the living, faces of the departed haunt your waking moments, etched sharply into memory, emerging unexpectedly amidst daily chores clouded by smoke and dust. Everywhere you search for the familiar gaze that might offer solace amid an overwhelming tide of deadened senses. These faces transform mundane moments into fellowship, rooting you in connection, even as despair threatens to erode your resolve. They serve as a reminder that even in darkness, the unyielding spirit of humanity flickers on. Ancient beliefs might explain such ghostly encounters as restless spirits wandering among the living. Lost loves and unsettled grievances whirl in your thoughts, leading you into age-old musings of purgatorial spirits trapped in limbo. Amid loss and grief, even tangible realities seem as fragile as smoke, consumed by the tales spun on these ill-fated streets, where charms and rites fend off unseen malevolence. You teeter on the edge of reason. The narratives echoing around you suggest an enduring faith in divine shelter and a persistent fight for hope in darkness. The haunting spectres in your midst are also spectral reminders of moral dilemmas and the burden of lives lost. With every failing, the remorse clings to your conscience as relentlessly as the illness itself. Even when reassured that you did all you could, guilt swirls insidiously through your being. Foregone opportunities taunt you, casting shadows across everything. Each ghost reflects an opportunity missed or a life lost, manifesting remorse from within. They aren't restful companions, but instead become restless phantoms echoing failure. Through these spectral confrontations, worrisome curiosities about the afterlife surface, positively demanding attention as one approaches the threshold of life and death. Drawn by whispers of purgatory and redemption, you wonder if there's a higher purpose to endure the harshness of life. Macabre familiarity with death and its mysteries welcomes insights offered by spirits as sharp reminders of life's fragility. Their piercing correctness confirms the precarious path of the healer, tread by faltering yet determined feet, teetering on the edge of devastation. This ever-present blur between healer and patient serves as poignant testimony to physicians falling victim to the very diseases they combat. They too become prey to the relentless spectre they aim to cure. Haunted, these thoughts take over when dawn breaks, revealing haunting traces of spectral overlapping with spoken promises that whisper understanding amidst plague's suffocating gloom. Steeped in such spectral associations, you find a haunting familiarity that forces you to acknowledge connections between past and present, mistakes and triumphs. These links transcend time's barrier, weaving narrative threads through each moment. In yielding to them, the phantoms become both refuge and torment, fellow companions urging you to press on. Though the plague robs whispers of breath, courage pervades. The continuity of history through embattled hearts binds relentless hauntings, allowing only dedication to remain beneath the spectres that rise with every heartbeat. As the plague's relentless grip loosens, a haunting silence settles over towns and villages. The once overwhelming cacophony of screams, prayers, and clerical sermons fades into memory. In this newfound quietude, an uneasy calm reigns, a fragile respite overshadowed by the lingering dread that the scourge might return at any moment. Streets once alive with daily bustle now lie deserted, echoing the absence of those lost to the relentless tally of mortality. Abandoned homes, their doorways gaping like open wounds, stand as perpetual reminders of vacant lives, a void that amplifies every sound, making each step feel like a disturbance in this ghostly realm. Survivors shuffle through these streets, each one marked by the horrors they have witnessed, their haunted eyes reflecting a shared comprehension that the past's normalcy might forever remain elusive. With fewer sought-at infirmaries and dwindling aid, the feverish chaos ebbs, allowing time to survey the devastation. The spaces, once teeming with the dying and toppled by the chaos of the needy, now lie mostly vacant, haunted by the echo of moans and whispered farewells. Here is no sense of victory, no triumph over a great foe, just a stark emptiness marking the lives that will not be resumed. Wandering these halls from force of habit, you strive for purpose amidst this unsettling peace. Even as physical traces, the stained rags and splintered stretchers are cleared away, the stories of loss and struggle are indelibly etched into the walls, reminders of the relentless toll on body and spirit. Outside, the streets have transformed under the plague's shadow. With human commotion stilled, nature asserts its sway, reclaiming the cobbles with weeds and inviting wild creatures to emerge from the obscurity, indifferent to the human tragedy previously played out here. This juxtaposition, nature silently thriving as humanity grapples with collapse, is a poignant statement on life's enduring rhythm, indifferent to human suffering. The eerie silence breathes life of its own, turning mundane pathways into otherworldly landscapes steeped in the echoes of what once was. Despite the reduction in new cases, fear remains a constant companion. Survivors, skittish and wary, adhere to habits learned during the pandemic's height, avoiding touch, keeping distance, eyeing each other with suspicion. This perpetual vigilance extracts a heavy toll, each interaction shadowed by the lurking spectre of mortality. Townsfolk hover between relief and terror, flinching at coughs and stolen touches, their consciousness scarred by the invisible enemy's reign. Relics of this time, rudimentary quarantines, fading notices of death, remain as physical reminders of what once was, but, more importantly, of what might be again. In adapting to this ambiguous normality, daily life tries to eke out a new rhythm. Routine becomes survival's ally, a necessary embrace of the uncertain. People carve patterns amid instability, each anchored step an act of defiance against a capricious world. Within this uneasy peace, you find resilience, an unexpected strength arising from still enduring shadows of the recent past. Each breath is tentative, but beneath twitching fears pulses a deeper reminder that life stirs, albeit with altered priorities and recalibrated hopes. Society's cogs slowly grind back to motion, uncertain yet spurred by necessity. Market stalls reopen, albeit sparsely stocked, while clergy emerge to offer solace, their sermons tinged with mournful relief. The town square, a once desolate relic of contagion, begins to beckon citizens gently back, allowing a rekindling of community through guarded interactions. These hubs of trade, faith and fellowship knit individuals back together, reminding all of the persistent human spirit, yearning for connection, despite scars. In the wake of shared suffering, unexpected bonds form within the community, binding disparate lives together. Adversity forges alliances, transcending rigid demarcations of class and station. Stories shared at firesides and humble meals deepen these connections, the surviving tapestry of humanity sewn from shared tales of endurance. Through these newly woven threads, there emerges resilience tempered by past trials, yet reaching forward, a vow of mutual support amid unforgotten challenges. These hard-learned lessons linger, permanently etched upon hearts and minds. The capricious nature of fate has instilled humility and gratitude, a conscious acknowledgement of life's fleeting brightness. This tempered perspective imbues daily life with a heightened awareness of fragility and beauty. Medicine, too, stands altered by the calamity, its practices reshaped by necessity, whispering among survivors a cautious hope for better understanding and preparedness. In turn, the community's journey towards renewal involves rebuilding not just structures, but the very fabric of society. Every reconstruction is an act of defiance, inching towards a future not guaranteed, yet desperately hoped for. Voices planning, hands toiling, coax forth dreams from destruction, an embodiment of humanity's irrepressible urge to create where chaos leaves only ruin. Among these rhythms lies the knowledge that while the world might never reclaim its prior form, within lies the strength and potential for transformation, crafting paths forward amidst shadows still clinging to the past. Emerging from the shadow of the plague, you stand at the edge of two worlds, one waning under its grim legacy, and another struggling to paint over the stains of bleakness with the colours of normal life. Yet, within you, a vivid tapestry of faces lingers, moments etched forever into the corridors of memory. The village, once clamorous with life, now resonates with quiet echoes of those who reached for you in their final breaths. Their gazes, desperate and pleading, haunt your nights. From the children clutching your robes to the mournful eyes of parents no longer holding their children, each face embodies the haunting legacy of survival, questioning your endurance when so many fell. These reminiscences cling to you, surfacing in the most mundane of moments, each street and shadow conjuring a new phantom from the past. Though life trudges forward, weaving fractured remnants back into the societal fabric, the solitude of memory and the faces of the lost accompany you incessantly. The past claims your thoughts, colouring every moment of joy with the grey hues of melancholy, casting shadows over the reassurances of survival. Survivor's guilt becomes the steady undercurrent coursing through your veins. It whispers the agonising question of why you endured while countless others fell. In the silence that survival promised, a weight rests. Names and faces, now only absences. The murmurings of colleagues and loved ones who vanished resound, their voids amplifying the question of why the fates spared you. This relentless query weaves through your days, tugging at the seams of your sanity, a constant reminder of life's fragile whims. Your laughter loses spontaneity, yielding to tempered moods and prolonged silences. You've journeyed beyond memory, importing fragments of its darkness into your present. The burden of guilt becomes a shadowy companion, lurking underneath the surface as you traverse a rebuilt world, masquerading as functional, while scrabbling for meaning within the ruins of normalcy. Engaging with others feels hollow, each interaction a performance masking the chaos beneath. Amid this landscape, new rituals of remembrance take root within communities. Survivors gather in communal squares, enveloped in incense's purifying veil, sharing silences and stories of desperation and heroism. These ceremonies, though cathartic, unsettle your internal discord, echoing your guilt in their act of shared mourning. Yet, these gatherings interlace tales of solidarity with personal struggles, transforming collective heartache into narratives of resilience. Life's fleeting nature becomes a stark revelation against this backdrop. Each brief moment of sunlight, the whisper of fresh rain, and the hum of persistent life are treasures, emphasizing transience. These moments obliterate the comforting pretense of permanent tomorrows, sharpening your perception of the present as a precious gift. Every encounter now holds potential for profound engagement, as mere interaction with others becomes an opportunity to savor meaningful connections. Ambitions wane in favor of appreciation for the simple and the serene, a recalibrated vision shaped by the stark fragility of the human journey. This shift doesn't erase trauma's shadows, but reframes existence through a lens valuing earnestness over superficiality. With a yearning for purpose in the wake of destruction, you re-evaluate your life's path. Once merely a doctor amidst ruins, you seek to transcend chaos by fostering healing, whether through tending to what remains or addressing emotional scars. Medicine evolves beyond the physical, embodying connections and preserving stories. Service emerges as a nuanced expression of humanity, illuminating paths beyond survival. Guilt finds redemption as you mend the rifts between past roles and future aspirations, forging spaces for renewal where desolation lingered. As you invite wonder back into your world, small marvels become lifelines guiding you from despair. A child's laughter and Bloom's return serve as gentle reminders of this irrepressible human capacity for joy. These moments, though faint initially, slowly rekindle courage, restoring glimpses of delight within your weary spirit. Stories become tools for healing, weaving threads across shared experiences in the plague's aftermath. Narratives of survival and loss enrich the human fabric, fostering empathy. Listening becomes as healing as storytelling, offering dimensional insight into shared struggles. Bonds develop as trails of fear, endurance, and quiet moments intersect, unveiling personal realities that resonate beyond individual pain. Adapting to change, communities navigate landscapes altered by the pestilence, blending history with necessity. Customs shift, new trades emerge, and the past bends to present demands. Amid this adaptability, resilience becomes a shared inheritance as old skills meet new challenges. Recognizing interconnectedness, you contribute to an evolving web, lacing the continuum between chaos and hope. In quieter moments, introspection provides solace. Reflection unearths buried memories, offering time to make sense of past sorrows and new joys. Vulnerability reveals strength, transforming pain into self-awareness. This sacred contemplation births unexpected insights, nurturing growth beyond survival. Wisdom, shaped by trials and triumphs, offers both gift and burden. Distilled into insights, it guides your actions in the tableau of renewal. This wisdom's narrative, shared with future generations, honours the tenacity of the human spirit. It stands as a whispered reminder of perseverance, of survival's intricate rewards, urging viewers to find meaning in history's embrace. If this narrative resonated with you, consider liking the video and subscribing for more explorations of the past that bring forgotten worlds back into focus.